This is ReplicantPhish. Welcome back. Glad you could join me again. So I have something very interesting today. I want to focus on how science fiction, be it books, movies, TV shows, video games, the influence those forms of media have had on relationships. And the three parts to today's video are: Part 1, Android wives and digital girlfriends. Part 2, Polygamous Relationships. Part 3, Every man, woman for themselves. So feel free to comment below. Let me know what you think. But let's begin. Part 1, Android wives and digital girlfriends. Do androids dream of electric sheep? Do they? 'Tis a stunning book written by Philip K. about a Blade Runner named Rick, whose current job is to hunt down a group of replicants. Replicants in this world are androids, lifelike and artificial, but yet appear and can act very human. The only way to tell the difference is to dissect them or through the Voight-Kampff test. Now the book, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, is interesting because the main character, who is supposedly a human being, sleeps with Rachel, who is an android, a replicant. And there is a stunning part in the book where, after he has slept with her, he's trying to figure out if she was real or not. Because the thing is, it felt so realistic to him, so natural, so normal and so human, that at first he struggled to get his mind around the fact he had just slept with an artificial woman. Now the reason for all of that is, in talking about certain possible futures that could be influenced by science fiction, having android wives or spouses and digital girlfriends is a big thing, and it is a thing that many people would actually benefit from, because many modern people do suffer with loneliness. So having an artificial, let's say, partner, for many people that is not only beneficial, not only makes sense, but for many people that is the better option. Now of course, on the flip side, you have the horrific, oh, humanity's being destroyed, people are banging toasters and machines and robots, terror. Yes, of course, things will be very different when we do reach a time where we have lifelike android women of which we can buy and own and sleep with. Funny thing is, maybe it is only then that many men could say, I actually own this woman, she's mine. Seriously. Obviously science fiction is very influential on many people, especially us as men. This is why you can find all manner of media of hot and attractive artificial women, be they androids, robots, or even AI. As in a digital girlfriend, she can cast an image almost like Joy from Blade Runner, but there is no solid form. This is a sort of partner that's more for company rather than sexual relief. But the point is, many of these things are on the horizon. Science fiction, in some sense you can say, is very influential to this, because some men can actually imagine what it can be like through seeing it and enjoying it through many forms of escapism. But is it good or not? You tell me, comment below. Part 2, Polygamous Relationships. Now to simply explain, polygamous relationships are just relationships with multiple partners. Maybe a man with many wives, a woman with many husbands, or just a mashup of many different things. And in speaking of a mashup of a relationship, it brings me back to another book. Not a spectacular book, not a popular book, not one of my favorites, but one that did stand out. A book called In the Company of Mind. The entire plot of the book is not the main point. The main character suffers from multiple personality disorder, which is very interesting in a science fiction setting, but the part I want to focus on is the fact of, in this future, in this science fiction version of the future, people have husbands and wives. So in a sense, this is the futuristic polygamous relationships I'm talking about, and the strangeness of them. To think the laws have changed so much that people have both wives and husbands. And the thing about that book and why I'm bringing it up is the fact of how things are today, which is intriguing. I read this book some 15 years ago, and it's the fact of how in that time, the world has changed so much that Polygamous relationships where people have a wife and a husband, would that even be strange now? Only in 2020? The book I read was set hundreds of years in the future. It's only 15 years later. Many of these things are more normalized now, aren't they? Not only polygamous to have many wives, but the, let's say, breaching of sexual barriers. I'd say breaching. Yeah, that word makes sense to me, but let's carry on swiftly. No offense. You can say this is science fiction, but it's the weird fact of it is fact now, almost, nearly. We're not too far off, are we? Thank God, marriage isn't for everyone. And to end the trilogy, part 3, every man, woman, for themselves. 'Tis the horror ending. This is the apocalypse, sort of future, sort of science fiction view of relationships. Except in this future, relationships are incredibly scarce. Because now it's a sense of survival. Let's say it's a zombie apocalypse. Let's say post-nuclear fallout apocalypse. Alien invasion apocalypse. And by the way, I'm being hypothetical. Don't run with what I'm saying and think ReplicantPhish is talking about we're going to be invaded by aliens. Thus it's going to be difficult to find a partner. Yeah. Well, let's carry on. In a sense where survival is now the main thing to think of. Would feminists survive in such a world? Apocalyptic. You have no idea where your next meal is coming from. You probably ate a rat last night. You probably ate a person the week before. 'Tis a game of survival. Of course, there may be small camps of survivors that may develop relationships and so on. But there would be many nomads, scavengers, savages, hungry, thirsty wanderers, but not hungry for love, or thirsty for sex, or let's say consensual sex at least. They're hungry for food, thirsty for water, anything. In this sort of world, independent women would be real, because they would have no choice but to be, because no one will be coming to save them. You see, white knighting and simping will be on a different level then, because instead of asking, many men would be taking what they want, would they not? Yes. Because you see, post-civilization, after everything's crumbled, when there's no internet, there's no Facebook, central heating, ordering food from Just Eat or Uber Eats, when all of that is gone, when the comfort is no longer there, many things will no longer be there either. The safety and security blanket that many people have in the current modern civilization. And yes, in some dark, sci-fi noir romantic sense, maybe two scavengers, two wandering nomadic savages may find each other amongst the dirt and crap, a man and a woman. They may come together, two diamonds in the dirt of this post-sci-fi-esque future. And maybe in some strange way, in some weird way, maybe without the blanket of society, maybe then a man and a woman could look at each other and see and understand each other's value beyond their own selfishness. My God, would that not be stunning? Would that not be ironic that the world would have to end for us to see value in each other? Maybe, maybe not. The point is, it's just science fiction. It's not real. These are just possibilities that may never happen, could possibly happen, may be happening already. But the overall point is to pay attention to the way media does have an influence on society, be it good or bad. Whether some men may actually get android wives and girlfriends, or be taken over by feminist-controlled android wives and girlfriends. My God, that's dark, is it not? But just remember, the future is coming. The question is, are you prepared for it? In other words, focus, observe, remember. The world is yours. Have a nice day.